Testing. Commission, Thursday, May 26, 2022 at 5:30 p.m. And this meeting will be continued until all items are complete. And let the record show that all the commissioners here, and to include the mayor. At this, I'm sorry? Oh, that's right. We have one guy out.
One down.
I'm so used to everyone being here. Let the record show that Commissioner Sherman is not here. At this time, we'd like for the mayor to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we're going to have a moment of silence for the first responders and the veterans, and I think it's appropriate that we also keep in mind the poor folks and the kids at the Robb Elementary School in Texas.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mayor, I understand we have a proclamation.
It is National Public Works Week, so if we can have our staff up here from the Public Works Department. These are the heroes of the city, some of the heroes of the city. Whereas Public Works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, emergency management, and services that are vital importance and to sustainable and resilient communities in the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of the city of Flagler Beach. And whereas these infrastructures, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of the public works professionals who are federally mandated first responders and the engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector, who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children in the city of Flagler Beach to gain knowledge and maintain ongoing interest in the understanding of the importance of public works first responders and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas the year 2022 marks the 62nd annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association, Canadian Public Works Association, be it now. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Susie Johnston, do hereby designate the week of May 15th through the 21st of 2022 as National Public Works Week, and I urge all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our national health, safety, and quality of life. Thank you. And Mr. Whitson has a couple words.
Thank you, Mayor. As you know, I've been the city manager here for a year, and when I look on these gentlemen, come on up. Come on, Benny. Y'all come on up here. When I look on this group that I didn't even know a year ago, I swell with pride. I am so proud of these men, the women that are a part of this group. They work so hard. This morning when I rolled up to City Hall, Before City Hall was even open, who did I see out there dealing with a fire alarm problem that a contractor couldn't even solve? They were there. I have seen them down in the hole digging in the middle of sewage. I have seen them picking up the carcasses of dead animals and fish, repairing our infrastructure, dealing with stormwater. I've gone out in rainstorms with Lee and many of these gentlemen here. What an amazing group of individuals. I could not be prouder to be part of this team, and I feel like that you don't get the due recognition that you should get because you're always so busy. I can't even get you in a meeting sometimes. So for all that you do and all that you will do for this community, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Let's get a photo.
Come on, dirty
That's a great photo. All right, my favorite word at this time of night is cheeseburger. So 1, 2, 3, cheeseburger. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Must be Alan's phone. Thank you. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you. Awesome. I will do it.
You guys make sure you pass that on to the others that were not unable to make it here as well, because there's a bunch more that were unable to make it tonight, and they keep our city going, and you don't realize how important they are until the water doesn't come down the faucet or something else doesn't work. And I was going to say, or the toilet doesn't flush. But thanks a lot, guys. We really appreciate it. That's all we have, Mayor?
That's it.
Okay, we'll move on now to deletions and changes to the agenda. None? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to public comment. And this is public comment regarding items not on the agenda. Citizens are encouraged to speak. However, comment should be limited to 3 minutes. A 30-minute allocation for time for public comment is allocated here on for items that are not on the agenda. Each speaker has up to 3 minutes to address the chair and one opportunity to speak. No time can be allocated to another person. So at this time, anyone that'd like to speak to any items not on the agenda, please come forward. Good evening, Scott. Please need your name and address.
Scott W. Spradley, 607 Yorkshire Drive, Flagler Beach. I want to review a chronology with you. On January 13th of this year, the 4th of July committee appointed by the commission gave its report and among other things, recommended that we have fireworks on July 4th, assuming they could be conducted safely. That was July 13th. On April 28th, it was discovered that the city failed to attempt to get a contractor to do fireworks. That was less than a month ago. On May the 9th, there was a special meeting in which a contractor was brought forward and who had much to say about himself and how promises he made to the city and what he could do. And the city tentatively gave him a thumbs up to then be continued to Thursday, 3 days later. Well, 3 days later, that contractor had a bit of a change of heart, decided he couldn't do the job, and instead presented the city with an invoice of 2.5 times the invoice that he had presented in his bid, and went on to say that he didn't realize what was involved. On that night, the commission nevertheless approved his contract, and it had some provisions in it. He had to get insurance, $5 million, and so forth. On the 12th of May, 3 days later, city attorney got a revised contract to incorporate a change that Commissioner Cooley had recommended. On the 16th of May, which was 10 days ago, the vendor was given the contract, and here we are 10 days later with no contract. Mr. Whitson was kind enough to meet with me for a little while today and get me up to date, and as of several hours ago, there's no contract. And it just seems to me that we have a guy who admitted he couldn't meet his commitment to the city. Now here we are 2 weeks later and 10 days after he has a contract, and he hasn't signed it yet. So it's time to do something. I like to give solutions when I'm complaining about something. I don't know what the solution is. It's either put him on the clock and have this thing done immediately to have a half-baked fireworks show, or just cancel it. Pull the contract, subject to the city attorney. I mean, I don't think he's entered the contract yet. I don't think it's too late to pull it. But this is not the way this is supposed to work. We've had one big problem, and it's just gotten worse. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Chris Bakke, 1624 South Central Avenue, Flagler Beach. I just wanted to, I'm going to say something that I wasn't prepared to say, but it was about this. And I was so happy the last meeting, I think you put that pipe up there, the water pipe. And then I thought the height of idiocy, looking at that water pipe, and then the discussion of should we spend $25,000 or $60,000 on fireworks? We need to get the bones of this community right. Cancel that. Who cares whether we have fireworks or not when we have all these much more pressing problems? So to me, the answer was simple. And I think we're just happy that Saturday Night Live didn't see that pipe and then the discussion, where should we spend this money? They'd be shaking their heads and would be on TV embarrassed. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? What's wrong with the turtles?
Hi, I'm Lori with the Turtle Patrol, and I was here to thank the Public Works guys because they do just an amazing job, and to let you guys know that we are 10 nests up from last year, 15 nests up from the year before, so it's going to be a banner season, so it's very cool, and I just wanted to thank you for all your support and everything that you guys do, and I so totally love the glass out there by the trees. That's it. Thank you.
We thank you for what you do.
Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board. And Mr. Whitson, would you like to address the fireworks or respond to the comments or not?
I really don't.
Okay.
I'm willing to wait on the contract. I've been in touch with the contractor. If you want to spend a lot more money, we can get another contractor, maybe. But right now, the man told me he has 2 fireworks shows this week. He's a small outfit, and I'm willing to wait till next week to get the contract. And that's all I got to say about it.
Okay. In regard to the fireworks, and you were talking about using the funds from the fireworks for the pipes. The funding for the fireworks is actually coming from the Tourist Development Council, so those dollars can't be used for infrastructure types of things. Can't come back, but anyway, that's it. So just give me a comment. So you can't mix the funds up because they're the Tourist Development Council paying for them this year. No, we're done now. Okay, Commissioner Mealy, do you have a comment?
No, that's what I was going to
Okay,
say.
all right. Commissioners, anything else? Okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda.
I'm glad we
I'm
have
sorry.
more turtles.
More turtles. Move on to the consent agenda. We can now open it up for public comment. If not, to bring it back to motion.
I'll
For the
make a
first item.
motion, we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. The next item we have is item number 8, and that's Mr. Howard. Good evening, sir.
Well, good evening, and good evening to everyone. Thank you. And was at the Public Works. I wanted to congratulate the Public Works team. That was a nice proclamation, a nice recognition. My name is Howard Holly, CEO and publisher of Touchpoint Innovative Solutions. Here with me is my wife, Barbara. Dr. Barbara Holly. She's the president and editor of Touchpoint Innovative Solutions. We've given each of you a copy of the publications that we publish: Parent Magazine, which often is in the lobby here, Florida Baby, Evolve Magazine, and also a special edition that we published to honor and commemorate the statue unveiling of Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune, which, oh, by the way, will be at the U.S. Capitol on July 13th. But I'm not here today to talk about any of that. I'm here today to talk about waterways. The Smithsonian Institute made a decision some time ago to realize that major cities saw what they had through the museums that were in those cities, Jacksonville, Orlando, and so forth. But that, in fact, many small cities and communities didn't. So they launched something called Museum on Main Street Traveling Exhibition. And the concept is to take Smithsonian content and get it out to smaller cities. So the miracle is that the waterways exhibit from the Smithsonian Institute will be here on July 9th until September 3rd at the African American Cultural Center and Museum on US 1. And so I wanted to share with you some things about that. Let's see which way I gotta go. Okay. So basically it's a unique collaboration with the Smithsonian Institution and Florida Humanities and the Florida Division of Arts and Culture. And so many other states are very involved in this as well, but in our case, those are the groups here. The African American Cultural Society made an application for a grant, and they were granted that application, and so we're having it brought here. And they have asked our firm to handle the outreach to drive attendance to the event. And so as a part of that, we have been engaged with the municipalities here in Flagler County and asking them to co-host this event along with Florida Blue and Evolve Magazine. So Florida Blue and Evolve Magazine are presenting this in partnership with the African American Cultural Center and Museum. And our co-hosts so far are the county, the Florida Division of Arts and Culture, Florida Humanities, Palm Coast, City of Palm Coast, and the TDC Palm Coast and the Flagler Beaches. Advent Health Palm Coast has agreed to host an opening gala that will occur 2 days before the ribbon cutting. And Representative and Speaker Designate Paul Renner has agreed to co-host with Advent Health Palm Coast. Our youth forum sponsors are Halifax Health, Parent Magazines Florida, thank you, Barbara, Flagler Schools, and Quantum Tires and Quantum Automotive. Our request here is to have the city of Flagler Beach join the other municipalities as a co-host of this event. Obviously, there's a benefit because nobody comes here without coming to Flagler Beach. And so this exhibit, and we would not have TDC support if we were only focusing on Flagler or Palm Coast. So we're focusing on St. Johns County, Volusia County, and Putnam County. So we expect to have people come from all over. I have up here the outreach, newspapers, magazines, radio, social media campaigns, programmatic display, people going on their phones and saying, what can I do with my family this weekend or while I'm here? We will be pushing programmatic ads to them to let them know about this event. The audience is primarily those who are interested in museums and cultural activities and things. And as you know, we don't have a lot of that here in Flagler County. And the audience also young people. Because that's really an opportunity for them to learn more about the centrality of water and how water is more than just what comes out of a faucet, but it's part of our culture, it's part of our history, and it has a huge impact on our lives. I told Speaker Designate Paul Renner when he spoke at the Flagler Tiger Bay Club that it was interesting because he said water about 6 or 7 times. And he said, it's because it's so central to our state. And so that's why we're excited. This exhibit has occurred in other places. It was in Amelia Island now, in fact, and we'll leave there and come down here. And so, as I mentioned, it is July 9th to September 3rd at the African American Cultural Center and Museum on US 1. All tickets and attendance will be free. Now, we will have people secure their tickets through Eventbrite and through our website, so that way we don't have too many people there at any one time, and the experience is diluted. And so people will go to the website that we are building, that we will have up in a couple of weeks in order to do that. But they will be free tickets, and they should be available sometime about the middle of June. The pictures at the bottom here are just an example of the exhibit. What I think is very interesting is that there are going to be a number of collaborative art exhibits and things that are going to go on at the same time. So, for example, the Lifeguard Association here will be doing a water safety exhibit for a week. There will be other items that will be occurring. Some artists have been invited to bring some of their art to be seen during that time. So we have a co-host committee. So if you say yes to that, somebody, it could be the city manager, whoever it might be, would participate on that co-host committee. And then we also have an outreach committee because we want everyone to tell the story. As I said to Flagler Schools, we want you to use your peach jar and get it out to all of the parents during this summer. City of Palm Coast Parks and Rec will be bringing their camps there in a coordinated fashion. So this is one of those rising tide lifts all ships. If we all work together, we can expose this and hopefully bring more exhibits here as we go forward. Any questions?
So what you're saying is that we would have an opportunity to promote this through inviting individuals from our community, visitors, or whomever, in order to come over. I mean, I've been to the museum quite a few times over there, so it's a great venue, and it's a great place. And it'd be something that we could possibly encourage parents and others to take kids on group trips, or even adults or anything like that, in order to explore the entire program while it's there, correct?
Absolutely. Okay. And keep in mind that while the Smithsonian gave the grant to the African American Cultural Center and Museum, they didn't give them any money. And so our co-hosts and our sponsors are how we're getting the funds to do the outreach necessary to bring people there. So absolutely.
So what you're looking for is us to be a sponsor with one of these tiers here, correct?
No, it's the municipal sponsor as a co-host, and that's $2,500.
Okay.
All right, Howard.
Okay.
Hi there.
I know $2,500 is not a lot of money, but it might be to us. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
We could not sponsor at a lesser level.
Well, you may be able, but everyone that you see there is all at the same level.
Bigger than we are.
Yeah. You know, that they're all at the same level. I mean, we can have a separate conversation and figure out what we can do. But this is a very unique opportunity, and it's really each of us coming together on that.
I don't argue that.
Yep.
But we're coming to the end of our budget year right now, and I don't know. I have to look at the budget and see what's going on.
Mr. Whitson, I mean, we've had a discussion about this, and I mean, it's a very good cause, I mean, for what we're doing and what we're sponsoring. In regard to budgeting, I know we have some funds that are available for these kinds of things here. So, I mean, I'd like to get some consensus or agreement anyway in order to move forward with this, with some recommendations.
Well, the commission does have funds in the budget for promotional type activities. I just don't, like Commissioner Mealy said, I don't know where we are with the accounting of that, getting that we're beginning towards the end of the fiscal year. But again, you know, the city has the funds. I mean, it would just be a matter of shifting it around within the budget, or just going to the reserves and getting it. It's totally your call.
Okay. What is the timeline we should respond to this? Yesterday?
We're meeting Tuesday next week to really begin to finalize all of the promotional, the website, you know, and all of those things. So the only organization that hasn't been included that I'm reaching out to right now is the City of Flagler Beach.
No pressure. Wow. Commissioner Cooley?
What I would recommend, Mr. Whitson doesn't know where we stand on that fund balance that we have budgeted. And we find out first before we make a decision on where we're at on that.
I agree.
I would not want to see us go over budget on that and then pull from general reserve.
Okay.
I would want us to live within our means, and if the money's there on the proper line item and it hasn't been spent, then I have no objections to it at all. If it's not there, that's when I'm going to have some reservation.
Okay,
Okay. No, I agree. I'm the same.
all right.
Same
Okay,
mindset.
all right, then I guess the direction we have that we'll just leave it up to Mr. Whitson, and if the funds are there and it's not going to cause us to have to go into any reserves or anything like that, we can move forward with it.
So can we,
Going to suggest a motion.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So the motion I would suggest would be a motion to sponsor, which one?
Smithsonian Waterways,
No, it was the level. What is that level called?
25.
co-host.
To sponsor at the co-host level, provided that there is money currently remaining in your promotional budget. Is that what it's called, the line item?
Yes, I believe that's what it's called in the commission budget, and of course, there may be some funds in the manager's budget, so.
Conditioned upon there being budgeted dollars for that purpose without a budget amendment. That way, if there's
Question.
a couple of line items, I'm not,
If we were so inclined, let's say the money isn't there, $5,000. Could we, as commissioners,
Individuals?
donate
That was my
to
next
it?
question.
absolutely.
Okay,
Okay,
Cover the difference.
yeah,
I'll cover at least $300.
yeah, I don't know. I'd like
I mean,
to
that's
see what
just
the
me.
difference
I'm
is.
just saying, so if you have to look at $2,200 or something, and you're short 300, I'll make up the difference.
So it would be easy thing for me to take a look in what we have available. I just was waiting on direction from the
Okay,
commission.
this is a very important thing, so I'd like to see it.
Yeah, no,
Would it be appropriate for me to just email them back and say, okay, we have it, or we're short on the motion?
well, no, if you tell us we're short,
You can tell them that you're short and what you're short, and then each of them as individuals can come and say, well, I can cover part of that difference.
Okay,
All right.
They can't vote, you can't poll them, so the motion is the motion, the decision tonight is the decision, but if they as individuals want to help cover that difference, then absolutely, yes, you can do
okay.
that.
You got that motion?
sure I do.
That would be a motion to sponsor at the co-host level, provided there's money in the budget for that expense. If there's not money in the budget for that expense, the city manager will advise each of you as individuals, and you may contribute dollars to make up whatever difference.
Okay.
If there's enough money either in the budget or received from individuals to cover that level, the city manager is authorized to expend those funds.
Can I have a second?
Okay, well, he can't make the motion,
make it-
so I'll
so
say
moved.
so
Are you
moved.
gonna say, okay.
So moved.
Second.
Could you call a roll? Okay. Okay, we can just go a voice roll.
A voice vote.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I have a question. Mayor, do you want to be part of that committee that, if not, I'll do it. I would like to do it, but I didn't want to take it away from you.
Oh, I'm fine. I can do it or you can do it. It makes no difference to me.
Okay, so Howard, eventually we'll get you the 5,000.
Okay, yeah. It's 2,500.
2,500. I was like, wait, how did we get to 5,000?
All right, yeah, okay, 2,500, sorry. I'm sorry.
It's a lot easier now,
2,500,
right?
I'm reading up instead of down. So if you'll let us know when the meetings are, how often does that group meet?
Our next meeting is next Friday, and that's really the outreach committee
Okay.
to really talk about how to, and what do we do, so whoever you want representing on that.
Okay,
Okay?
all right, if I'm available, I'll go. Or
Okay.
you'll go,
Right.
or
I
somebody
can
will
send the
go.
vote because more the merrier. I mean, it's really about thinking about how can we think differently and out of the box and let people know. Communicating is not that easy in our community. I think you all know that. And so figuring out how do we get everyone's arms linked is really the key. So again, thank you, commissioners, for your discussion, your support, your questions, and I'll be at your house tonight. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Howard. It's
We'll leave the light on.
a great program. Okay, we move on to the next item, which is number 9, and that's the strategic planning. Mr. Whitson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you know, we've put a lot of energy into doing our strategic planning this year. Really had an excellent meeting with the commission back in April. It was April 26, actually a month ago. The report was drafted by the consultant, and the staff kind of commented on it and pulled it together and hopefully organized it in a way that made sense to you and, of course, the members of the public. And so one of the cool things we did this year that we didn't have time to do last year was actually go ask the public in advance of the strategic retreat what some of the issues were on their minds, what were some of the things that they felt were important. And we had the ranking of the issues, if I could refer to the first page of the report. Public safety, police, and fire matters came in first, and then the public said, that's important, but please make sure that we manage our utility and tax rates. They mentioned drainage and flooding as a major concern, the management of the beach and the beach maintenance efforts, and then of course they wanted us to address any type of growth management for the future. So those were the top issues. The entire survey is available for anyone that wants to see it, but we've sent you basically a summary of it. And I believe one commissioner asked to see all the comments.
But she hasn't had time to read it.
But she hasn't had time to read it because there were a lot of them. But anyone on the commission, or certainly anyone in the public that would want to see them, certainly can do that. We covered a lot of material in the retreat. We took a look at all of the trends that were impacting the city and the environment in which we are trying to operate and make progress. And coming out of COVID, I can tell you as the manager, wow, what a challenge. I've never seen times like this in my career. So we are in unprecedented times, and things are different than they were prior to 2019. But yet the vision goes on, the mission goes on. So we're going to do what we can. So the report kind of outlines all of the items we talked about, and then you all took a look at all of the discussion. We talked about some of the strategic priorities for the city, which of course is to develop citywide resources and ensure sustainability. We looked at things like where we are with a golf course. The education and communication with the citizens kept coming up as a critical priority, and a number of other items. The bottom line of all this is we're going to take this feedback, we're going to take any adjustments you have to this report, and then now we're headed into budget season. And we'll have a discussion about timing on that in just a little while on the agenda. But what we want to do is to take all this effort, all this energy, all of these factors. There's a lot of moving parts that impact our world. We are not immune from inflation. We are not immune from a lot of the forces that are happening out there in the economy, yet we have to navigate it and make progress and achieve some of the goals and visions that you have for the community. So basically, that's the report, that's the environment we're operating in, and we plan to take that information and begin developing the decision modules that would then take a look at the budget. The budget process this year, the staff and I have been working on it. We're going to get it down to what we think the bare minimums are to operate the city. Then there will be growth in the tax base. We already know this due to inflation. We've already seen other tax bills come out from other jurisdictions, so we know there will be growth in the tax base. What we don't know is how much. I can guess 8-9%, maybe even more. But basically, the budget this year will be, okay, here's what we need to operate the city. Here are the various decision modules that tie into the discussions we had at the strategic planning retreat. Some of the things that the staff is seeing are critical that tie to the strategic objectives. And then you all will get to decide which ones of those decision modules get funded out of that pool of excess funding opportunities with the tax revenues and utility revenues and the other revenues that we have. So that's kind of where we've been, how it ties together. We're actually taking our citizen input, the strategic planning conversations into account as we form the budget, as we form the decision modules that actually steer the budget in the directions you say we need to go with the city and the community. So that's basically where we are right now. And if you have comments on the report or feel like that we didn't capture something correctly, we'd be glad to take that feedback. And of course, we'll be listening for any public feedback, and then we'll go from there. And that's why the draft stamp's still on it.
Okay. Comments? Mr. Cooley?
Couple comments. This is good as a summary and everything. However, one of the things that has been missing from this and strategic planning in previous years is the priority of items. And what I mean by that is we have things that need done in the next year. We have things that need done in the next 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. We have not, on many years in a row, prioritized items to say, we want this done by next year. We want this done within 2 years. And those are dynamic, but we have to, as a commission, not work off how we want things in 10 years. That's what this is. And so what this is this gave us the big picture. However, we're still going into a fiscal year without any tactics as far as approaching the coming fiscal year. We have to give city manager clear direction. This is what you're to do next year. We are already running into things that we thought were going to happen this year that didn't, and that isn't any one person's fault if we don't outline it. So we have to say, this is what needs done this year, this is what needs done next year. If you can get ahead of it, then great. But I'd like to see us get a lot more tactical about this and drill some of these things down. So, because we have tactics here, but there's no timeline. According to the timeline, it's going to get done by 2032, and that's not going to work. It ties into the discussion. I don't know where, but I was going to bring it up on our commission comment. The other thing we need to look at is, tied to our tactics that go with 1 year, 2 year, and all that, we also need to make sure that we're following the evaluation process for city manager too. He's been here over a year. We haven't done it. We haven't talked about it. So we need to make sure that we're all baselining how things are. Here's what we expect. Here's how last year was. Here's what we expect on the next year. Here's the tactics that we're going to do. I think it ties into this discussion. If not, it'll just need to be a separate discussion on when and how we're going to do that. So we have that. As far as budgeting goes, because you brought budgeting into this, one of the things that we need to do that we haven't done is we are not looking back at previous year's budgets and looking at what didn't get done. So we budgeted certain items, right? And we said, this is what we need to charge our citizens for because we're going to do these services, and we budget it. But out of that year, and this goes back 2-3 years, certain things don't get done. Then the question becomes, what are we going to do with all of that money? Because I think what has happened in a lot of cases is sometimes it gets earmarked, and we do it the following year, and that's okay because you still have a balance, the checkbook's balance. But if we don't do the project and then we turn around and we budget and we say, well, this is what we spent last year and we need more this year, but we still didn't do that thing that we charged the citizens for last year, we're adding money into something that wasn't there. Say a project was $500,000. We decided not to do that. So that $500,000 really shouldn't be going into the other year to operate the department. You need to look at what your operational expenses are, and if they're higher, then that's fine. But you back out that $500,000 because it was a one-time project. Does that make sense? Okay.
It doesn't to me. If we don't do it the year before, but we still need to do it, why would we not?
No, if it gets dropped.
Oh,
The money
if it
goes
gets
back-
dropped
the money goes back
altogether.
into the general
Oh,
fund.
okay.
Or if it's a one-time project and it gets done, it still needs to come out of like what we consider operational expense. I just think we need to go back and do, I don't even know what the term would be. Just look at what was one-time project and make sure that we're not just building on that.
Just reprioritize.
Well, I
Right.
always do that.
I think
When we get the new budget.
Yes, that's the term I'm
Yeah.
looking for.
Sorry,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, you,
Reconciliate.
there are two
Reconcile.
pots, that you're talking about. One is operations. Yep. The other is your capital plan, which is your one-time big expense items. So I think that's one of the things that I'll be talking about when we get to that point in terms of the budget workshops is I think we need to, and I concur, it's not just the operations. We need to look at our capital plan. We haven't put enough energy in the capital plan in the past to say, hey, we budgeted for, a particular piece of equipment or a particular thing that we wanted done. Was it done or not done? And then, if it wasn't done and we need more time or money, reschedule it. So those are the kinds of purposeful discussions we need to have. And I would agree with that, looking back at the history.
Yeah. Well, whenever I get the new budget, I always take out the old budget too and line them up. And so why is there a difference between these two numbers? I always look at that. So, okay, I didn't think that was a big deal then. Okay.
I totally agree. I mean, because, I think in the past we've talked about, things that need to be done immediately, immediately right now, short term, long term, and this kind of thing here. So I don't disagree with you at all.
Yeah, I think this is the first step, but we can't stop. Because if we go into the next fiscal year without drilling this down to 1, 2, 5, or 10 or something and get this dialed in, then we're going to just kind of be where we were last year.
I think we've been kind of chasing our tail for the last couple of years,
Yes.
with so many things going on. It was like, how many balls in the air? So, it's whichever one you try to pay attention to. And
But if you look at the budget, maybe I'm missing something, but when you look at the budget, there's this year's, coming year's expenses. Then in some cases, it's next year's, or we skip a year and there's money allocated in 2 years or 3 years. So it's not like we've never done that. I don't know if I'm being clear, but
Well, it's there. The structure is there. What I think the commissioner is saying, and don't let me put words in your mouth, is that you're talking about the sequencing of things to making sure that, these are the things that we want done within a year. These are the things that we want done maybe in 2 years, and then, 3 and 5, as opposed to a 10-year horizon.
just that we're looking too far out, is that?
Well, this right here, this strategic plan is just too generic. Okay, so let's take a simple conversation. I'm just picking one. Okay, that's been on the last couple meetings. Post and rope, right? It was on last year's strategic plan. It's on this year's strategic plan. Now, it's on his list too, but it's not at the top of his list. But had we done a 1, 2, or 5 plan, he would know where to put that on his list. Now, I know the mayor brought up, it was like last meeting or the meeting before, something about where does this stand, and it's on his list. But if we don't take this 10-year minutia and drill it down to this is our expectations of we want this done this year, a couple of years, then he's only going to prioritize his list according to what, his own vision.
Well, he's prioritizing his list based on 6 bosses.
Right. Who have all different priorities.
So we all have different priorities. So I totally agree. I'm not disagreeing at all. I think it's probably a good way to get things in some kind of in order so that we all understand what is on that priority. And I think that one time, maybe a meeting or so ago, you'd actually said that it would be helpful if he were to produce a list that said these are the priorities so that we all knew that these are the priorities. And then I'm not telling him or requesting him to do something and each one of us going to and saying, this needs to be done. We all can see the priority.
But I think he's waiting for those priorities to come from us.
Yeah.
Which is what should happen.
Yeah.
I think one of the things we need to do is differentiate big picture things from small picture things. Using post and rope or sand fencing or whatever as an example. Is our goal to save the dunes? Yes. Then we get down into the small things like post and rope or fencing. I think if we tell the city manager we want the dunes saved, which is, I think we all agree that we do.
It's not enough.
But I'm trying to differentiate big picture from the minutia, I use your word. Do we want to direct the city manager on the minutia, or do we want to direct him on big picture items? I think that's an important point.
I think we can direct him on certain things, but there are going to be we're an old city here, so there are going to be emergencies.
Always.
And just like you're going one direction, all of a sudden, wow, we need a new roof on the A-frame. So now that
But you
becomes
can't make that a priority because we don't know if yet.
I know we won't make it a priority, but I'm saying, while we're going down the road, something else might come in, there's, so I guess, we can just look at them as short-term, long-term, and then just adjust them accordingly. And then,
Yeah, if I had a grouping, okay, and I think the decision modules drive the immediate, okay, because we're fixing to go into budget. We're tying them to things I've heard over and over that are important to you. So there's the short term. And then if you can take a look at the rest of the list and say, well, look, we can't do everything at once. Here's another group that we want to see, done next. The sequencing and the grouping of it would be helpful because you can't do 30 things at once with the amount of staff we have and resources we have. And that's just what I'm saying.
You can't get the workers, outside workers.
I'm having trouble hiring people as we speak. So.
On into Jane's point, so you have preserve dunes, right? 10-year plan. That's the strategic plan. It's already in there. Then you have post and rope. Is that a 1 year, 2 year, 5 year? Does he just need to have it done by 2032? We have to decide that.
There's actually going to be, I'm drafting a decision module on that to put resources behind it.
Right. But that already got budgeted. That's one of those things that was budgeted. There was, not last year, but the year before.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Right. Those are the things that, going back, we have so much of that. There's so many things that didn't get done that got budgeted. And the question becomes, where did that money go? And we know it's in reserve, or it should be. Or maybe it didn't get spent correctly. We don't know these things.
But we don't want to lose sight of it.
Exactly. Hopefully that was making sense.
It makes sense. Absolutely.
I wasn't getting you at first.
And I do know during budget, and I know during budget time, we have asked questions. I think I had asked the police department last year or the year before, why did you not use this money? And it was because he wasn't able to get the product, but we kept it in the budget for future, so. But it would be nice to know that ahead of time.
Okay.
I have a question.
Sure.
So when would we sit down and take these strategic priorities and put them in a timeline? When would we do that? At budget? Would we, I'm looking for the action on it. I'm looking at some of these and I'm like, 1 year, 2 year type of thing. One, land development code, 1 year. We have to finish that. Post and ropes this year. Just create a radio show. That could be 3 years.
I
When do
would
you want to
be
do that?
more than happy to, if y'all want to go ahead and do it now, before the budget workshops, that would be helpful, and I can share that information with you, and then you could kind of take that into account as you look at these things. If you wanna
Except that
just
we
go ahead
don't
and
know
write
the
it down.
costs of any of them until
Exactly.
we get to the budgets.
Yes, that's right.
I can't,
But in terms of the sequence or priorities or things you think should be done, that would be helpful at least. And then if you get into the budget and you see, wow, that has a bigger price tag than I thought, we can always change it.
I think that the next phase of dialing this in would really, it would be best to do it as another workshop, a second workshop. So we built our 10-year vision. And then we need to, you know, you can't eat an elephant in one bite. So how do we go about tackling that?
Dialing it in.
And then I think, I don't know if it's good time-wise to try to tackle this now, to go through all these, because some of these are going to be, I would assume, you know, in-depth discussions. I hate doing extra meetings, but I think it would be.
I was going to say, Eric's,
Yeah. Y'all got to know I'm really serious about it. I think it would be the best use of time to do that as an additional workshop to take that to the next phase.
after the budget workshop, that's scheduled.
Wherever y'all think it's most
To
appropriate.
me, it would, until I see numbers, I can't really, you know, if we plan 5 things, but the first one we plan is like super expensive, well, that kind of takes care of the other 4. So if we see numbers, then I feel better equipped. So I'd rather go through what this budget workshop we're supposed to be scheduling today, and then have a workshop after that, because then we'll know the numbers. Am I making sense?
But if we do it that way, will we be able to budget anything for those items in the current fiscal year?
Well, he's going to come when we have the first this workshop we're scheduling today. There's going to be numbers attached to.
Correct.
So yes, we'll know what they cost. I can't deal with
Yes,
something
you will
until
have
I
way
know
more
what-
information because of the budget workshops, because of the nature of having to prepare the information. You would have way more information and numbers first, and then you could set the sequence or the priorities based on what you can fund.
Or do it in conjunction with budget workshop, or is that too much in one day?
Well, we're kind
We
of
just
getting ahead of
don't
the discussion,
necessarily
but
need to
I have
get
a
to every-
suggestion, about how we might be able to do it,
In the past, we've always scheduled 2 workshops. The first one would go through the general fund pretty much. And then the utilities and CRA would be
enterprise.
the second day. So if we want to start with the general fund and go through everything, prioritize everything after we see the numbers, I think that's a full day's work. And then the second day, we could do the utilities and all that, if it works for everybody.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
It's okay? You got a
As
consensus?
long as we do it.
Oh,
All
yeah.
right.
Okay, we can kind of clarify that again when we get to that item 11. Yeah.
So does that kind of help you as far as where this stands on strategic planning and all? Okay. Because the content is there and the content is good, but it's not, this is a great looking vision, but it won't get us there. We got to take this and drill it down.
Yeah, it's kind of the old MC Hammer, break it down, yeah. And that's the sequencing and the breakdown is, how do you strategically attack it? That would be helpful to me because, again, there's only so many hours in the day to do 40 things.
Okay.
Okay. But I'd like to say that Mike did an excellent job for putting this
That's
together.
Yeah, he
good.
did.
That's a good report. Okay, item number 10.
Resolution 2022-10, a resolution by the City Commission of the City of Flagler Beach, Florida, designating the Emergency Management Director, Coordinator, Liaison Officer, and Public Information Officer as required by Chapter 14, Article 3, Emergency Management, Section 14-43, providing for conflict and an effective date.
Okay, got some discussion?
City Manager, for the general public, did you just want to explain what and why on this one?
Yes, sir, I'd be happy to. Last year, when I came on board, I kind of suggested that we follow a practice that I had done while part of the staff in Port Orange. This resolution basically sets the NIMS, or National Incident Management System, which all major disasters and emergencies are run by. That's the system FEMA uses, that's the system the county uses, that's the system the state uses. And this kind of sets in place that structure so that, Lord forbid that, we have anything come at us, we're ready to go. We don't have to call an emergency meeting in the middle of a storm or when a storm is coming to get this all set up. It's ready to go now. June 1st is the H season start. And why wait? Go ahead and get it in place. That's what we did last year, and it worked out fine, and I'm hoping it'll work out fine this year.
Almost.
Any more discussion?
I will make a motion to approve resolution.
Public comment?
Finish? Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. We'd like to open this item up for public comment if we have any. Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board for motion.
I will make a motion to approve resolution 2022-10.
Second.
Got a motion and a second? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Phillips?
Yes.
Commissioner Mealy?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooley?
Yes to the motion.
Chair Bryan?
Yes. And the motion carries unanimously. Can move on to the next item, Tenant 5. It's resolution
Yes, sir.
2022-
Our friends at FDOT didn't realize what our meeting sequence was, and they sent this information in late, so we just got it over to you. This is the annual lighting contract that the city enters into. This covers the things like the lighting on the bridge and things like that. And I think in the budget last year, to your point, Commissioner, we set up a fund and a way to set these funds aside, and when we get enough funds, probably at the end of this fiscal year or the beginning of next fiscal year, according to staff, we may have accumulated enough funds to go ahead and do the LED change out on the bridge. So.
Okay, any more discussion?
Well, Drew didn't read the resolution.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought he had read.
Resolution 2022-11, a resolution by the City Commission of the City of Flagler Beach approving a highway lighting maintenance and compensation agreement with the Florida Department of Transportation, providing for conflict and an effective date.
Any more discussion? Okay, for public comment. Anyone make any comments on this? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board for motion.
Motion to approve resolution 2022-11.
Second.
Okay, Janelle.
Commissioner Phillips?
Yes.
Commissioner Mealy?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooley?
Yes to the motion.
And Chair Bryan?
Yes to the motion, and the motion carries unanimously. Move on to the next item. That's scheduled tentative budget. Mr. Whitson.
Yes, sir. Again, our friends in Tallahassee have set forth the process by which we must adopt the budget, and it's called Truth and Millage, or TRIM Act. And we have to have our tentative millage set by the end of July so that the tax appraiser can get the information out and bill all the appropriate taxes. So at this point, the schedule, the way it falls, we can go ahead and schedule our budget workshops that's where we would entertain the budget proposal, the decision modules. Should you want to also add the sequencing or grouping of things, one of the things that I was going to do in addition to what we normally do was I was going to put a little energy and focus on the 5-year capital plan. Because again, that's something that I think is out there and is used. For example, just one example is the fire truck. I know that Bobby always puts funds back in the budget, and then hopefully in the 10-year horizon, 15-year horizon, there's enough funds accumulated so that you can do a major purchase like a fire truck. So that's example of how the 5-year plan is used. And we want to pay more attention to, okay, what are those allocations and why are we setting aside those funds? So what I need tonight is, when do you want to set the trim budget workshops? We've identified the week of the 18th of July. And the question is, do you want to do an all-day thing, or do you want to do two half-days, or an all-day and another half-day? Given the discussion that we've had, it really doesn't matter to the staff. You're driving the ship. We'll be there. We'll have the information ready. But in order to get ready, we need a date so that we can advertise it and get everything pulled together. And again, we've already been working on it, but it's only kind of bare bones stuff.
Commissioner Mealy?
We have to have the trim notice ready by the 31st.
Yes.
So I'm a little uncomfortable waiting for that time frame that you suggested between the 18th and the 24th. That whole week, the only days that the room is not being used is Thursday and Friday, the 21st and 22nd.
Well, it's your room. You can change it.
It's your staff meeting that's meeting here.
I can change that. I can change that.
My suggestion would be that we schedule 2 full days. If we don't use them, fine, based on that discussion that we just had a little while ago. And I'd like to suggest that the first meeting be on the 7th and the second meeting on the 21st.
Of July?
Of July.
Okay.
Commissioner 7th and what?
21. When is your trip?
No, I'm good.
Oh, okay.
I'll be here. No, I'll be here. We want to separate it by 2 weeks?
Well, you'd rather just meet
because
2
of the
days.
past we've
You'd rather
done it.
meet 2 days in a row.
How about the 7th and 11th?
We've done it before.
Yeah, we could do this.
7th
I
and
think, wait a
11th.
minute.
Yeah, I'm free.
Yeah.
Just for my information, I don't have my calendar. What day is the 7th?
They're Thursdays.
Thursday?
Thursday.
11th is a Monday.
11th is a Monday.
Okay, so we do Thursday.
I can't do the
I can't do the 11th either.
12th? 12th?
I can do the 7th and the 12th.
I can't do the 12th.
I'm being flexible. I'm giving up
12th.
fishing days here.
I can't do the 12th either.
13th.
I can do the
I guess.
13th.
You don't want to wait 2 weeks in between?
I'd rather.
Well, that's not even a week.
William, does waiting 2 weeks in between, is that bad for you?
No.
Huh?
No.
Doesn't make any difference?
No, it doesn't make any difference. My only concern is will we be ready by the 7th? But if you set the date now, that gives us plenty of time to get ready.
Yeah.
I can do 7th and 21st.
Those work best for me. Yeah.
I'll make it work.
Now, are we talking, just clearly clarify for me, we're talking like just set aside that day?
Yeah, if we don't use the whole day, then great.
What's your suggested start time?
Me?
No, yeah.
You don't want to ask me.
Probably 8.
No, not 8. 9
a.m.
9 a.m.?
I can pretend to be awake by 9.
So 9, let's say to 4?
Chief is raising his hand.
Just speaking for someone that's going to have to work 2 weeks in a row, can we not do it on the 7th? We're going to work Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, Monday night.
Oh, after
Yeah,
July.
We
the
don't want to
4th
work
of
in 2
July,
weeks straight with no
that's-
days off, then to come in
sorry,
here
okay.
for 2 continuous days to do budget. I don't have a whole lot of hair left. And what I have is gray. So if we can push it back a week, it would be great.
I'm sorry, I forgot about that.
Okay, thanks, Chief. I wasn't thinking either.
How about Friday the 15th? We have a commission meeting the 14th.
Is the 13th available for anybody?
13. Yeah, I can do 13.
I can just do 13 and the 15.
We can just live here.
We do anyways.
I'm all right with the 13th and the 15th.
Okay.
Okay, 13th and the 15th,
So, okay, so the 13th and the 15th.
9 to 4.
Yep.
Bring a bag lunch.
Yep.
No.
We've always been fed in the past.
Yeah.
All right, you got it. Peanut
I'll give
butter
you-
sandwiches it
You'll
is.
have 2 breaks that day.
Saltines and water.
Okay, that's helpful.
Okay.
I just
All right.
needed to kind of lock it in so
Sure.
we could get our process set up.
I just waiting till later in the month, I think we're too close to when the trim notice needs to be in.
True, but we just kind of went with what the target area we had last year. We did it last year, but, we'll make this work.
Okay.
Okay, any more discussion on that? We're finalized? Everyone good?
Yep.
Okay, move on to the next item, which is number 12.
Ordinance 2022-08, an ordinance of the City of Flagler Beach, Florida, incorporating the replats for Block 34 Moody subdivision, providing instructions to the city clerk, repealing all conflicting ordinances, and providing a severability clause, and providing for an effective date.
Good evening.
Haven't seen you in a while.
I'm going to say I come in peace. Just a little bit of background. I represented the facility beforehand when they sold, I used to refer to it as the farmer's market property, now the hotel property, to the current developers. After the closing, as we're going through the site review process, we realized that there was a glitch with the legal description. I'm going to try not to bore you too much with the details. Thanks much to Penny Overstreet for helping us go through a lot of the old public records and coming up with a history. But I have attached a lot of these documents, but I could just summarize, and if you have any more specific questions, I'd be happy to answer. Back in 1917, when the downtown area was platted, what I refer to now as the block where the hotel property is located, part of it was in Block 34. Then there was the Daytona Avenue right-of-way, not in its current location. And then there were portions of 2 lots that are in Block 49. Sometime
Could you push
between
the microphone?
1960 and 1980.
Dennis, can you check to see that microphone's on?
Is the green light on?
Is that better?
Yes.
So sometime between 1960 and 1980, there was a replat that was done. So all of Block 34 is now on what we refer to as a hotel property. And then the Daytona Avenue right-of-way was pushed to the west by about 50 feet to its current location. We haven't been able to find the replat anywhere. But what did happen is in 1980, there was a resolution, and that's attached as Exhibit F to the ordinance, that basically adopted all of the prior replats and re-subdivisions in the city of Flagler Beach. And attached to that, if you'll see on Exhibit G, is the map that the city approved at that time. So we know that that was done. We just don't have an actual document that says Block 34 is now replatted. But it was adopted later, it was incorporated later, so the official city maps now show that block as being Block 34 in Daytona Avenue in its current location. So all we're asking for is that you approve this ordinance, which would reapprove what was done back in 1980, just to make the record clearer and the title clearer to the property. So we're not changing any boundaries, we're not doing anything different, we're just asking that you approve something that has been previously approved by the city.
I think I can ask a question that will make it all very clear in one simple statement. Is it fair to say that this ordinance conforms the plat to what exists out there today?
Correct, and it does not affect any other parcels of land in any manner whatsoever. So that's a good question, and hope that answers
Yeah,
that.
no, that was clear anyway, but
Okay. All right. Any more discussions,
my
Commissioners?
only comment would be the dates on line 38 to 41.
Yep, we need to deal with those, and then we also need to add that on section 1 on line 48 on the second page, that we're really asking for Exhibit A to be what you're approving. It was done by a
Right.
recent survey.
Okay, so this is going to be the first reading?
Thank you.
Okay. Do we have any comments from the public on this item? Seeing none, we'll bring it back to the board.
Motion to approve ordinance 2022-08 as amended.
Second.
Got a motion and a second?
Commissioner Phillips?
Yes.
Commissioner Mealy?
Yes.
Commissioner Cooley?
Yes to the motion.
And Chair Bryan.
Yes, and the motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, appreciate your support.
You're very welcome. Okay, we're down to staff reports.
I have two tonight. One, I think you all received a memo from the planner through Mr. Whitson on the real estate signs.
Yeah.
And I've been asked to report on this, and this is unintended consequence of what we did to address signage, because we cannot regulate real estate signs as real estate signs, so we lost that ability to say a real estate sign can be this tall. Real estate signs often are. I talked to Mr. Whitson and Larry, and I have a fix for the ordinance that we can do, and one I would like a feedback. It doesn't even have to be a consensus tonight, but feedback to make sure this wouldn't offend anybody. You know, as we set it up to comply with that Supreme Court ruling, we don't have real estate signs, we don't have election signs, but we do allow you one extra sign during real estate, during the period that a property is for sale or lease. We can make that sign typical real estate sign height, as long as everybody understands that the reality of that means that it may or may not say for sale. It can say something else, something we may not like, and that's just the reality. But that's the fix to it if we want to apply that fix. But I think what city manager and code enforcement department are looking for right now is, should they deprioritize, not ignore, deprioritize real estate signs right now? They have a lot of things they can be out there enforcing, and is making real estate signs be short, like the other signs that we allow, a priority. And if not, we can pass that message on to code enforcement and tell them real estate signs are not a priority. Part one, I'm seeing heads nod. And part two is, would you like to make that fix where if your house is for sale or lease, that extra sign you get gets to be real estate sign size.
Mr. Mealy?
Some houses have for sale signs for years.
Mm-hmm.
Guy 2 doors down from me has been selling his house since I moved in 2002. You think?
In this market.
Since we went through a whole thing about we can't differentiate between election signs and real estate signs and whatever signs,
speech
whatever
signs,
signs because of free speech, if it's my fear that if we allow higher, bigger real estate signs for the time my house is for sale, then they can, like you said, they can say whatever they want.
Whatever they want.
And so that I don't think I want that. I got a email from a resident the other day about a sign, a sticker on somebody's truck that he didn't like.
I saw the email too.
Me too.
And can't do anything about it. So I would not like to change it. That's my feeling.
Drew, can you cover those two options again?
Well, they're not competing options. They're two different things. One is code enforcement is asking the question, are real estate signs a priority for us right now? Or where do they fall on our priority list? Back to priority lists. Are real estate signs a priority for us right now? Or should attentions be directed towards other violations and those, come when they come? First question. Second question was, do we want to do anything with the code to make a typical real estate sign size, height is the real issue. Do we want to make that permissible during the time a property is for sale or lease, that extra sign that our code gives you, that sign can be more than 3 feet high is where we're at right now, is the height of sign.
So it's two different questions.
Well, first question's easy. I don't even remember real estate sign enforcement being a priority.
Well, you have a new code enforcement officer, and so he's, you've had for a long time building official / code enforcement officer. Now you have somebody who's, his whole attention is code enforcement. So he's processing cases at a much quicker rate because that's his sole focus. So now he's also trying to figure out what are my priorities here. Because he would like to enforce everything. That's his job, and that's how he approaches his job. If it's a code violation, I'm enforcing it.
If we don't make it a priority now and it becomes an issue later, can we address it then?
Yes.
Okay. That's where I am.
Second.
I hate to publicly say we're not making something.
Well, no, that's why I use that word deprioritize, because you're not ignoring. But code enforcement, like every other department, there are things that are critical, and we want to make sure that we address all of these, and there are code enforcement violations that we'll get to when we get to them.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's where I am. I mean,
Okay.
if it becomes an issue, then we can address
There's
it.
way more things on his list.
A lot more, yeah. Got a unanimous conclusion?
I'm not hearing anybody object, so I think we're okay giving that direction.
And the
John?
second one is, do we want to make the second sign bigger? Right? Is that
That's the
kind of?
second question.
No,
No,
that's my opinion.
I agree.
My second item is, last meeting, we talked about parking citations and the alternative remedies. And I think the issue, and I've already spoken to Mayor Johnson about this, but the issue there was the mayor was getting overloaded with those calls. And we did have our code enforcement hearing yesterday. I did advise the magistrate that I was not in a position to agree to alternative remedies. He did not order any alternative remedies yesterday, but he was disappointed and sad. But Chief and Tom Gillen and probably Bobby, I don't know if you were involved in those conversations too, but they kind of had a conversation on seeing if there was a way to fix the problem that this has created. And I believe Tom has volunteered to handle coordination if we would still like to allow the magistrate to offer alternative remedies to those, because he's a firm belief, and I tend to agree with him, that getting people out on the beach and doing those beach cleanups is one of the best ways to educate and help people understand why, we had one yesterday, why you don't park on a dune. And actually the one yesterday would have been an ideal one for him because it was a woman from Volusia County. Her son is a lifeguard in Volusia. She's on the beach patrol in Volusia, and she simply did not realize that in Flagler, the dune starts at the side of the road, and the dune isn't just the raised portion. So she misunderstood where the dune was. Now she understands, but she also is paying a $150 citation. So she's learned the lesson, but I know that's one of those cases that I know he really would have liked to say, well, if you come out and help clean up the beach, you can learn more about the beach and park in the right place next time.
I like that.
Cool.
So if you can't park, we'll not teach you how to park, but we'll have you clean up the beach. I'm fine with whatever y'all want.
Well, as I've said probably in here before, but as I know I've said other people here, 3 hours of my time is worth more to me than $150. I know there are a lot of people like that there are those who say, no, I'd rather pay. It's not something I want to do.
So that's just an option, that's what it is.
Correct. That's how he presents it. He said, I can have you pay the citation, but if you'd prefer, I can have you come out here and do a beach cleanup.
I have two statements. One, our beach cleanups, it's really them coming out for 2 beach cleanups. Our beach cleanups don't last 3 hours. It's the first issue. The second issue is they should not be coordinating with anyone. That was when the violators were calling me, they were always trying to negotiate, do I come out here, come out this time? It should be, you can come out these dates, and if you can't, pay the $150. There should be no phone calls to Tom anyway.
Well, I agree, but phone calls to Tom to find out when we need to be there, and also we need to have somebody who can confirm that they were there. So we want to know that they were there and did it. That's what I mean when I say coordination. But I completely agree with you. There should not be any negotiation going on. You're correct.
So Tom is there anyway. I was thinking
That
Tom
was the
really
rationale
doesn't
that
need
was
another
explained to me,
job.
yes.
That's what I'm worried about, is it's going to become another job for Tom. We should just give them a piece of paper that says, here are the dates, and you can have one of these people sign it. Tom doesn't need to be putting another hat on. That's my concern. These people are adults. They paid the crime, and they can just be given their option. You can do this, show up at XYZ time, here's the dates, or pay the money. That's my thought. There's really no...
But Tom volunteered to do it. I mean, he knows what his workload is.
Tom's going to volunteer to do everything.
I know,
That's
but,
true.
you know, he does a lot.
So are you saying then the magistrate or whomever would give them a piece of paper?
Yes, I think
then
that,
when they
and
come to
leave
beach-
Tom out of it, and they can have 5 people to
makes so
sign
much
it,
more sense.
and that's it.
And then
I
when
mean,
it
we're
comes-
making more work for us at this point, and that wasn't the whole object of it.
Yeah. So what do they do with this piece of paper when, say I show up, do I hand it to somebody?
Yes, you can
or-
have Eric, Carla,
Whoever's
Linda,
there.
myself, or Tom sign it.
Perfect.
That's it.
Got it. I think that makes more sense.
So is that explained on the paper when they get it?
Well,
We can do it.
Mhm.
We'll make it work.
That makes much more
All
sense.
right, okay. I think we
Okay,
worked that
I'm
one
good
out.
with that.
Okay.
And then y'all will somehow be recapping that to determine if they don't make it, they're going to pay the fine.
That's when I say coordination, that's my interest in it, is to make sure that they actually do the alternative remedy and don't just say I'm going to do it and then don't show up. That's what I want to make sure happens.
And we need to let them know that it's going to be 2 Saturdays, because our beach cleanups are anywhere from like an hour to an hour and a half.
I have cigarette butt holders.
Will that cover
They
the
are not
recap
finally
though?
empty, believe me.
Because you're almost missing the last step. Will that cover the recap part where there's someone checking that they got that done?
We'll figure it out. We'll make sure that we can confirm it, because that's my interest in it. He's the one who grants the remedies. I don't do that, but I just want to make sure that we have it, that if we're going to do it, we do it in a way to make sure that people actually do the community service that they're opting into in lieu of the fine. Because I'm sitting in the prosecutor's role. I just want to make sure that people, pay what's due for
They
the
just
crime they
drop
commit.
that paper off at the front desk of the police station, potentially?
We'll figure that out.
Okay.
The mechanics of it, we can figure out. Okay, that was all I had.
Mr. Witt, I'm Commissioner. City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a little list here. The first item is the Pal Parker Park. We've been in touch with the contractor. We've sent you out the schedule. We're pretty confident they're going to start the end of the first week of June. We're going to have a pre-con. We've been coordinating with the engineer. My understanding is they've been going back and forth with Lowe's, and they're almost done with all of that. And so we should be underway real soon, and we'll be out there making sure they get this done so we get our reimbursement.
Yeah, thank you for this. That makes it all very clear.
In fact, I spoke with Ms. Buchanan yesterday morning. So she reassured me they're on it. It's going to happen. Good. So I just wanted to share that with you. Next item is that the city staff is preparing for negotiations with the engineering contractor that you selected, number 1. There are certain things under federal rules we have to prepare, like a cost and price analysis and other items that we have to get done. So we'll be having those negotiations start real soon. And my goal is to have the negotiations completed sometime in July, bring the contract back to you for review and approval, and then have them get going on it before the summer's out.
How long do they anticipate before they have working documents?
The schedule, are you talking about for the contract?
Yeah, before they have all the design drawings and everything. ready
Oh,
to go.
for the design, yes.
Sure, to go to a contract.
Under the schedule, they have a year, but I plan to push them. And I'm not going to let that
We're not
burn
that kind of
time.
patient.
We're going to push them a bit to make sure that we get the design done within the year.
Okay, the reason I ask is because whenever, and I think we all get the same thing, especially from the people that used up here, they want to know what the timeline is when it's going to be closed, and
Exactly. That's when the first thing we work on is the schedule, the bidding, the pricing, because we need to sit down with the state and federal agencies. There's also a schedule of communication that we need to keep with FEMA.
Sure.
And so obviously, as I communicate with FEMA and the state, I'll obviously be communicating with you. And then we're going to also be scheduling public workshops so that people that are interested in the project know how everything's going to fall out.
Great.
Just a reminder that I think I sent a rather lengthy memo to you about the June 6 workshop on the wastewater treatment plant. That's a really, really important workshop. And I will also be getting out some more advanced material prior to that workshop on, what we're going to be talking about. And I'm pleased to report, last year when I came on board, former Commissioner Bellhumer trotted me down to some place called Ocean Palms and showed me this pond that was accreting towards the condos, and there was a lady that lived in the corner unit that was quite nervous. And I don't blame her, and happy to report that the project's almost completed. All we have to do is finish the sod work up, and we hope to have that done probably by next week.
Great.
So if you haven't seen it yet, it's almost there, almost ready, and I'll be following up on that. Also have some good news and some bad news to report to you. The good news is, through the diligence of Lee Richards, we finally did officially land the grant for improving the WIC Line Center. Let me go over a few figures with you. The total grant award is $312,827.65. The federal share is $234,620.74. And our share would be $78,206.91.
How do they come up with that?
It's a 75-25 split.
No, it's the cents part.
Well, they just take the dollars, and that's how the percentages break down. So basically, that's the good news. And again, I can't tell you how much work it is to get a hazard mitigation grant. It is not an easy grant to get. When I was out in Texas, I worked on all kinds of grants, and some of the hardest ones to get were these hazard mitigation grants. So my hat's off to Lee. So that's all the good news. Thank you, Lee. Now for the bad news. The way the hazard mitigation grants work is, yes, it's the 75-25 split, but that's a budget estimate going in, and prices are changing almost daily on windows, on all of the other things, the doors, all the things that are going into these grants. So we have to submit the paperwork, submit the grant. They, put it through what they call a federal BCA, which is a benefit cost analysis, which means for every federal dollar spent, there's at least $1 in benefit that comes back to the federal government plus $1.01. And there's this crazy algorithm and mathematical formula and everything, and it's all run through that. And then they also have to take it through SHPO and all kinds of other processes. And the bottom line is, when we got the grant award, that was based on dollar figures that were submitted months ago. Those numbers are now changed. So once we get the official grant award, then we're going to probably have to go through that process again, because the new numbers will come in when we, go through the bid process. So I say all that to say that this has been an incredibly hard grant to get. A, B, I'm glad we got it. C, there's more work to be done. And what we're going to be doing is going and talking with the Director of Emergency Management and saying, hey, how do we get out of this do loop? Because surely we're not the only grant recipient that's going through this same situation. The costs out there post-COVID for construction are going crazy. And so how, you know, does the federal government really insist on this BCA every time you change a number? Or can we just agree we have the grant and let's go forward? And maybe we pay a little higher match. I don't know what the answer is. But the bottom line is I'm proud of the staff for getting it. We have an opportunity and we're going to try to find a way to make it work. Anything further, Lee? Does that pretty much sum it up?
The magic number, 40%. That's how much prices have jumped since that was put together. And it wasn't months ago, Mr. Whitson.
Oh, sorry.
This thing has gone on for over a year. And the estimates...
Sorry, it's months ago since I touched it.
Right. I've been forcing this thing over and over and over. You can't imagine. But in any case, the bottom line is if we don't get, you know, the bottom line is I don't have enough money to do the whole job. That's the bottom line. Yeah. Unless, you know, we pitch in more or we're able to get an adjustment. But the problem with the adjustment is, as Mr. Whitson said, you got to go through that benefit cost analysis and you run the risk of winding up it not being a benefit. That's what happened with the previous grant that we were doing the WIC line building with, if you recall, that $194,000. Yeah, they said it didn't, the benefits did not outweigh the costs. So they actually took the grant away from us. And that was months and months ago. So this, I've been working on this particular grant for the entire complex for probably 18 months from start to finish. Because I did all the drawings too, if you recall. All the bidding, did all of that.
So congratulations, and again, back to the commission, we'll find a pathway forward. It just may be that we have to pay a higher match, because if we stick with the way the feds want to do it, we may get back in this do loop again, and then if you do that, then the prices continue to escalate, and then we're you know, it just becomes this mad cycle that doesn't end. And so I'm looking to kind of tie a bow on this.
So putting it a little differently, we can do however much the grant is for, and then it's not going to be enough, so we could budget for the difference. And okay.
Yes, and maybe we just end up, instead of viewing it like a 75-25, maybe we view it like a 50-50. You know what I'm saying? Because that might get us out of this cycle with their BCA and all the rules tied to the money. I don't know. All I know is that we have people in Tallahassee we can talk to, and we'll follow up on this. But I thought it was excellent that Lee finally landed something, and now we have grounds to go forward and talk to them about how we get this done. Glass recycling is going well. Rob tells me we have over 2,000 pounds of glass on the ground and growing. And we've already sold almost 20 bags of glass and counting. Great. So it's beginning to move forward. I also wanted to remind the public that we put it out on our, put a message out on our website and through social media, but United States Senator Rubio's staff will be here in this room on June 1st for some public meetings. People that are interested to have, you know, concerns with the VA or those kinds of issues can come and talk to the senator's staff. So I thought we should share that information.
William, since we had such a concern over 5G and it is a federal issue, could you call his office or have somebody call his office and warn them that that might be something that they would need to address?
Already done, Commissioner.
Well, I'm glad we had good ideas.
Yes, ma'am. And as a matter of fact, I'll be meeting with the senator's staff as well on some other things.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you.
Then just a quick note, the Florida legislature wrapped up a legislative session yesterday, and there were several bills passed dealing with insurance and condos and things like that, and I passed along all of the bill summaries and the information that we have.
They sure did a lot to help the consumer, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. And then we have Memorial Day coming up on Monday, and we put together an excellent program. Thank you, Commissioner Neely. And that's where we are with my report.
Okay. Fire chief, police chief? I don't see anyone rushing forward, so I can say it. Janelle? Mayor? Commissioner comments and mayor comments.
I have just a very short list. I'm going to add on to city manager regarding the glass crusher. I had the mayor of Mount Dora reach out to me, and they would like a glass crusher, so she had a bunch of questions, and she'll also be calling you, which I think it's exciting news that our machine is going viral across the state. And as well, just to commend the sanitation department. I don't know what it was, but this week was compliments to the sanitation department. Every time I turn the corner in this city, somebody was telling me that they're doing an excellent job, and just hats off to Rob Smith and his team. And every time, I could not agree more. It is fantastic. I would also like to add beach clean, or I was going to touch on Memorial Day. You did. First Friday is coming up June 3rd, and then also our first Saturday beach cleanups on the 4th. And that's all I had. Very short list.
Susie, I sent you the bio of the speaker. Did you get it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just make sure.
Yep. And that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. I reached out to the Pal Parker unofficial committee via email just to let them know that they'll be starting the week of June 4th construction. And if they have any issues or see anything that it's unfavorable to them, to reach out to me. So instead of contacting staff. So fingers crossed, nothing will happen.
You're brave.
I know, I'm very brave. I'm very brave. And then also, Mr. Whitson, can you talk about what happened with the power washing on the bridge?
Yes. Yes. We hired a contractor, and they started the process, and they had this soapy solution, which was supposed to be environmentally friendly. And, there were people underneath the bridge, unfortunately, and it spilled on them. And so we stopped it. There was also, in addition to that, the contractor did not have enough, he had traffic control, but with the speeds people are going over the bridge, it just wasn't adequate, and the police department was concerned about safety, so that was another reason we shut it down. And we are in the process of rescheduling and rethinking how we're going to do it. I think with the summer season, we've just missed the window now, so we're going to go later in the year and to early morning hours, like maybe 4 a.m. or something like this. So we're just pushing the reset button.
Okay, thank you.
Question. Is it wise to continue cleaning half-painted traffic barriers? Because when they were pressure washing it, you have the old paint that's half on, half off. So we now have zebra stripe kind of traffic barriers. So we can have dirty zebra stripe traffic barriers or clean zebra stripe traffic barriers. It's just, is it even a good use of money to clean them? I mean, at least the dirt, I think they look better when they were dirty. Honestly, because now what we've done is we've exposed the fact that they're half painted. I'm wondering, are we throwing good money at bad, or what is your thoughts on that?
We're pushing the reset button. And yes, we will, apparently the paint that was originally on the bridge whenever it was built, 20 years ago, is coming off. And when you pressure wash it, that's the look you get. So should we just leave it alone? Sure. I mean, that's an option. But again, this was something that I just felt, looked bad when you entered the city, to have the grimy look. But, that's up to y'all. If you want to leave it that way, we can do that, or we can try it again.
Can we get a quote to paint it? Or does that
Yes.
fall on DOT?
Well, no, we could collaborate with them. It's their responsibility, but they don't paint the other bridges, so they would just say, well, we don't do it. And, we just have to negotiate with them. But the bottom line is, it just, in my opinion, is not a good look for a tourism city. And how do we improve it? You're right. Maybe we need to pressure wash it, finish the pressure wash job, and then paint it. And yes, maybe we collaborate with FDOT to do that, or go it alone. What is the solution? Until we get the pressure washing job completed, we wouldn't know.
Why don't you just strip the paint with a pressure washer?
We could do that.
Because
it would just take more time.
Right, it'll take more time, but I watched how fast those guys are working, and they're just, they're whipping through it. I'm of the belief that if they have any commercial pressure washing outfit, could easily strip that paint, if they don't try to just whip through it and just get dirt off. I think they were going in it, and again, I can't speak for them, but it seemed, watching them work, it seemed like they were only wanting to just clean dirt and soot off. But you can return them to original by cranking your pressure up and just taking a little, just not even much more time, a little bit of time, because that paint's gone and it'll come off easily, I would think.
Yes.
William, do you know who did the bridges in Daytona? We know where they're so pretty.
No, but we could find out the names.
Yeah,
of the
were those community people who chipped in, or those bridges look so nice.
They do. And my attitude is that we're as nice or better than Daytona.
Of course we are.
So why don't we have our
need a
bridges
good
look as
bridge.
good?
Are you talking about the mosaics or
Yeah,
the?
yeah.
Oh, I think those are beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where I'm going with it, but you have to prep the bridge first. And then, yes, I was going to engage the art community, then, you take it a step at a time when you're dealing with FDOT, right? So the first step is to clean the bridge, and we just ran into a snafu with traffic control and then had the people under the bridge. Unfortunately, we didn't have it blocked off. That was our fault for not doing that.
Just a comment, when you start stripping the paint off, do you think maybe you better check to see what kind of paint it is and environmental issues? Because
yes,
we don't want to get dinged another.
No, you
By
think
trying
might
to
be
do
lead
something.
based.
Well, you don't know what it is. If it was 20 years ago, it could have been lead based or any kind of.
Oh, it's definitely not lead-based. That stopped in 1970.
Well, we need to check.
I would check it just in case.
Given my luck on this project so far.
Yeah. Paint started coming down, and it's like, you're killing the environment or something. That's all you have?
That's all I have.
Commissioner Cooley. I'm switching
Okay.
up. I'm going on that
We'll
end.
switch it up, all right. All right, so I mentioned it earlier. I wanted to bring this up under commission comment. We have a gentleman that's overdue an evaluation. Here's my suggestion, just to make it real easy. We don't try to change the evaluations and go through that whole painful, excruciating process of proofing them, changing verbiage. We take what we got and evaluate them. That's my suggestion.
I vote for that.
We could even do it by next meeting if we wanted to, but we
do it now.
Well, we don't have. But I'm just worried that we're well past the year, and
Sure.
and we need to do it. I just wanted to see what y'all thought about it. If you had time frames or any, the process how you want to do it.
Is it in your contract that it's evaluation in August?
Yes.
So can we wait till August? And then we'll have the budget meetings by then, and we'll have,
We already passed 1 August though.
well, it's only here for 2 months
Right.
then.
It's up to y'all. I mean, I'm of the belief he's been a year. I'm not concerned about the month.
but it's in his
I
contract.
think the reason why, the reason why it was August, and that was a carryover from the prior city manager, the reason why August was originally picked was so that you could get through your budget season and use that. Because I know at the time, that commission, a lot of the evaluation was occurring, because that's when you're going to see, okay, what projects did we complete? What didn't we complete? Why didn't we complete it? So there actually was a lot of that basis for the evaluation that was coming through that budget process. That's how it became August in the first.
So from this point on, it would still be August, right? If we reset, or if we just do it in August now, then each year would still be August.
And if I remember the contract, I think it was by August, so I don't think that if it was in July, that doesn't create a contractual problem, but that's why I'm explaining why August was picked in the first place.
I'm good with whatever you want, as long as we're handling our end of the agreement.
I agree. I'm okay with waiting until August. Once we get through the budget process, then we can have a complete evaluation.
And I think the evaluation that we had before the form is fairly good.
We spent a lot of time on that form.
Yep.
I don't want to do it again.
Yeah, I've actually never filled it out, so I'm fine with it.
I heard they really like it.
It's fabulous.
It's going to be your favorite.
Be my thing to do by August is fine.
I read the other one, but
Okay, so we got that done. All right, I had comments about 4th of July, which are different than what Scott brought up when he was talking. That's why I didn't want to get into that real deep. So here's my issue. Everybody's discussed and is discussing fireworks, right? And I've been beating this drum since January. We have a lot of folks that spent a lot of time on the ad hoc committee that gave a whole lot of recommendations. And I believe I'd have to go back and look at the meeting, but we were supposed to be talking about going through this and recapping it in this meeting. I believe because either last meeting or the meeting before, I brought this up. And I said, there's all kinds of things that we need to ensure, and we need to hear from this guy that are actually happening, because we adopted this. And when we adopted it, we're basically saying we're going to do this. It doesn't become subjective when we throw it out the window. We said we would do 4th of July if it could be done safely. This is the guide to have it done safely. This is what everyone agreed on, including us. I have no idea where this stands, because we have yet to have a discussion about it, and we're about a month out. So we don't know, and I don't want to have it now. We don't know if we have law enforcement and we don't know that because we just put in the request. Because as of just a meeting or two ago, we didn't even know what day it was going to be. And we still don't know if we have fireworks. We don't know if we have parking spots. We don't know if we have all of the things that are in here. The COPs were supposed to be on all the walkovers in the CRA district. And those are all volunteers. And all of these tons of things that everyone, including us, agreed on, that these are things that should be done in order to do it safely. So we don't know if we have fireworks. We don't know if we have all the pieces for safety, because Chief hasn't rounded it up yet. The request just went out a little while ago. I'm getting concerned, so we're a month out. I'm getting concerned that, so we had a bad scenario happen, but I'm worried that we're making bad decisions behind the bad scenario that happened. Or by inaction, we're still making bad decisions. We have tons of bases that we have not covered, nor have we even talked about. And these are huge, major issues. They're not little small things. Some are more important than others. But we spent all this time building the plan. I have zero confidence that the plan's being followed at this point in the game. I have zero confidence that it can be followed because of how the chips are falling. Because in order to put some of these pieces in place, you have to know you're doing other things. So there's cause and effect. Is this wise to continue down the road blindly? I guess is my question for the commissioners.
Go ahead, Commissioner Mealy.
I think that a lot of what you are talking about, it was our job to approve it. It's staff's job to
Thanks again.
I'm not going to go calling on COPs nor count how many there are.
It's not our job to do any of that.
It's not our job to do.
It's our job to know it's being done.
May I make a comment, sir?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. With all due respect, let me see if I can raise your level of confidence. Commissioner Mealy is dead on target. You direct it, we do it. My staff is all over it. The only thing that's not tied down is the fireworks. We've had that discussion. I'll be more than happy to provide a briefing and an update at the next commission meeting because it's all the gears are moving, everything's moving.
And in the fire chief and the police chief's reports are comments about
they've been in
the
their
meetings at
reports.
the EOC.
Yeah, it's
so
happening.
we know that those meetings are occurring.
Absolutely.
All right, so if we can go through and just get something saying here's our things and we're all good on all this.
We are.
Okay.
So
I met with the bus company the other day. I mean, there's all kind of things going on.
So to address Commissioner Cooley's concern, would a memo to us or email to us highlighting what has been done or just checking off those items be sufficient? Or do you want to have a meeting to discuss all
It doesn't necessarily have to be a meeting. It doesn't even have to be in the meeting. You know, the thing is we've had stuff catch us off guard on this. I just want to know that we're all reading off the same sheet of music.
Okay.
If we're reading off the same sheet of music, then I'm good.
Well, I guess, I'm the mindset that, we did direct him to do this. If he falls on his face, we're going to chew his ass up. I mean, excuse me, but that's where we are.
Yeah.
I'm going to be realistic.
I've already got a taste of that
That's what it
already,
is.
and I ain't even gotten to
If
the
it doesn't
July
happen,
4th.
then that's when we come back and,
Right, but we as the decision makers
I
also
understand.
need to make sure that if we do an event, that it is done in a way that is not detrimental to the city, safe for the citizens and things like that. We're the end-all responsibility for that.
So I guess in short, going through that whole document, William, if there's some things in there that are missing, would be the short end of it. In other words, you can address us and say, these are the things that have not been done. In other words, everything else is moving as planned with the exception of this. In other words, we have not contacted Father Manny, or we haven't contacted whatever it is, parking. But all the other loose ends have been tied up. That's just what I'm saying, rather than putting a point-by-point item on everything.
I was just say, if you added it as an agenda item on your next meeting, that way, if you were to do that, then you could, if there were concerns, you have the ability to discuss, but you would also have the ability to take action. And that way it would be, public can come and hear what's going on, and that gives you the ability to take action if, after seeing that report, after hearing that report, there's still some level of discomfort, whatever that action may be.
So-
it might be just to modify. It might not even be to make major changes, but it lets you have a decision item, should you need a decision item at the next meeting.
Okay, and that's, we're talking about 2 weeks, so by then we should hopefully have a contract signed that would satisfy some of the issues that that Scott addressed as well.
Yeah, but I actually have 110, probably 115% confidence in the chiefs. And I've been reading their reports and I've been following their activities and we've been talking as a staff. And I get it. You're sitting in a decision-making capacity and you want to make sure these things are done, but they're getting done.
Okay.
So
Okay.
by the 9th, on that next meeting, are you confident that we would have a signed contract and insurance would be in place of the firework
We don't have
provider?
a signed contract on the 9th. We're not doing fireworks.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Like,
Well, that's certainly your call, but I talked to the guy, okay? Let's beat this horse some more. I talked to the guy several times, and he says he's going to have the contract to me as soon as he gets through the fireworks shows that he already has, which I think there's one coming up on Monday night, and one, well, I think it's
Palaco
actually
is-
one
Palaco is Monday night.
Yeah, there's one in Green Cove on Monday night, but there's one before that, I think, in another city.
So is the delay because he wants to make sure he has sufficient fireworks, or just?
He's busy. He's just busy. And he told me that he did identify a source of fireworks. So am I feeling 100% confident that everything's great? You're asking me to endorse a contractor I have no experience in working with. I'm just like you.
Okay.
But he keeps telling me, all right, he's going to get it done. So I have to give him grace to get it done as soon as he can next week after these shows are over with.
Okay, all right.
I think the mayor's only point was just that if it's not signed by June 9th and it's on the agenda, then you can do something.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Sure.
Okay.
That stops the bleeding if that's the choice you want to make, and that's fine.
Okay, that's good. So, all right, we have a plan for that. That makes me feel a little better, and we'll just cross that bridge when we get to it. Last thing I got. So, we did a thing here at Flagler Beach on Saturday. It was a small event that turned into a very well-received event, and couldn't be any more excited about it. I believe the general public thoroughly enjoyed it. I know everybody has been talking about Rob Smith this whole meeting. It started with Rob Smith, and the Public Works recommendation it's going to end with Rob Smith, because I have to call out Rob Smith on his own. I call him Mr. Everything, because that's what he is. And he helped we got in a pinch with a generator, and he immediately helped us out, because he does anything with an engine. And he was the reason why we had power, and we're able to get announcing done. And then he was amazing as far as, getting eyes on the ground, looking at where should we put tippy carts, where to, everything that Rob Smith does, which is basically everything. I believe he controlled the weather that day, because that's what he does. And just, couldn't be happier. Tom Gillen was also a big help and a lot of support and everything, just coming by, checking on us, making sure everything was good. The lifeguards were good and just very supportive about the crowd that was there. The crowd, they were tending to push down to the waves because they want to see everything. That's also where the ATV goes through. So there was, little small things. It was a lot better attended than what we could have imagined. It was a lot more well received than what we could have imagined. And it just kind of goes to show you how, things always end up, on really good here. I believe when they're done for the right reasons and everything. And I got to thank Mr. Everything. Since we're in a city meeting, we got to recognize city employee. He was not on the clock, so don't yell at him for anything.
No, the guy volunteers.
Yeah, he just Johnny on the spot with everything. Tippy carts, generators, weather. He brought doggy bags also, I believe, because even though we had tons of them there, there's always folks that tend to forget, and they're like, hey, and just a kudo to the volunteers that we had in ourselves. When we were done, when you walked down to the beach about an hour after we were finished, you couldn't even tell we were there, which you don't always get with events that happen on the beach, Daytona. And that is, as a member of Flagler Beach All-Stars and somebody who does beach cleanups, that is absolutely 100% mandatory, is somebody can walk that beach and not even know anything even happened. And that was a pride thing, and that was something I would be out there all day cleaning if I have to, but there was no need to, because everybody did a great job. There was a few doggy biscuits left on the ground we picked up, and I had to fight one of my own dogs for them. They were searching them out. Somehow, I have a dog apparently with an amazing sense of smell that will get into anything to find them. But want to thank everybody, including y'all for approving it and believing it, and all your support, and Mr. Everything, Rob Smith. And we even had Matt and his guys stop by. Officer Blank came by, was down there smiling, having a good time, and just checking on us, making sure everything was good. Everybody couldn't have been better. And that's all I got.
I'd like to add one thing. It was a very cool moment for the city when the lifeguards came by and the entire crowd cheered, like first responders. It was awesome. Full of positivity. Awesome. Get it? Positivity?
Mr. Mealy.
Well, I couldn't make it because the Flagler Women's Club had a pancake breakfast for our fire department that same time, which was a very worthy cause. And I have yet to figure out, Bobby, how much. I haven't touched the money, but I know we'll be.
Can I just have 2 seconds?
Can I finish the sentence?
Sure, go ahead. You made me think of the money.
No second comments, but go ahead.
Bobby was there with 2 of his firefighters, and they were serving the people that showed up, which was kind of cool. And we did raise some money for the Volunteer Fire Department Association, the Volunteer Fire Association. So now you can.
$5,196. Hang it
Okay,
raised.
we didn't raise that much.
Yes,
And Debbie Phillips's dog rocks.
that was it.
All right. Let's see. The League of Cities had a Zoom meeting with Congressman Waltz sometime last week. I don't remember when it was, because they haven't had the fly-ins to Washington between COVID and the security restrictions after January 6th. It just wouldn't work. So they've been having these Zoom meetings. And he went through a few issues. He discussed flood insurance, ARPA money, and cybersecurity. And there was a Q&A time, so I asked him about 5G. I told him what happened here at the last meeting, and he got like, oh, and I said, no, I'm not asking you to change the law, but I am going to recommend to people that, among other people, they contact your office, so they should be ready with answers. Similarly, I went to the fine meeting, as did some of the rest of us, and I talked with Randy Stableford and Ernie Ordino, who are staffers of Congressman Waltz's, and they're kind of doing this with the 5G issue, but talk to them about it too. And actually, the day before that was the Flagler Tiger Bay meeting that Randy made the mistake of coming to, and I talked to him about that there, so he was prepared. Comes down to we can't do anything about it. It's federal law, and there's nothing we can do. But at least we can tell people, call your congressman. Rubio's staff is going to be here. You can talk to them. Yes, Memorial Day is on Monday. I'm sorry that it's not important enough for it to be in any of the newspapers. But Flagler Beach should know about it. Somebody could put it online.
Got back there, Will.
Yeah.
But it's on Matt's page.
Oh, Matt's been doing a great job, but it was not in the News Journal. It was not in the Observer. And so we're going to have...
It's going to be an Ask Flagler.
Yes. Okay. If you need a program, I'll give you one. I happen to have some here. Okay. We talked about the signs.
Ukraine.
Yeah, and I'm looking through my last report that I didn't give.
She got 4 pages here.
Just a couple of things. The Fire Pension Board and the Police Pension Board met. We're going to have to put in a little bit more money into the pensions, but not much. Yeah, it's not having a big impact. We've been over 100% funded since 2012. So that's helping. With the rates going up, we can take out it'll be less of an increase because we've been overfunded for so long. And the same with the police. And that's just a real quickie. And the museum board met. People keep donating things, which is really great. The library donated some history books. I guess when they had the book sale, they had some history books left over, so they donated those. Kathy's working on grants for the state and the TDC, so she can feel your pain about grants. And they're talking about creating a list of the historic homes, you know, what's left of the historic homes in town. That'll be good. Catherine Wilson, the founder of the George Wickline's daughter, started that a long time ago, and it just never went anywhere. But now there's a committee that's picking up on it again. That's great. And the thing that excites me the most, the Ukraine. I wish you could see this face. I might pull it up on my phone if I can. This woman's face is blank. If you can see her, it's like they have been to hell and back. There is no expression on her face. So these are the friends of the couple that own the restaurant over the Ukrainian restaurant. This is their house, or what's left of it. They have moved out of the school. I told you they were living in the school that this woman teaches in. Well, they put up some kind of temporary wall, and they are now living in this house. This house has belonged to his family for multiple generations, means a lot to them. So they want to rebuild. And we're at the point now where we know enough about them and all that we can start collecting money. The Women's Club will probably in July be having a Ukrainian dinner cooked by all the Irish and Jewish and whatever people belong to the club. So it'll be our version of Ukrainian food. Oksana from the restaurant said she would donate pierogies. So, yeah, so that'll be one way. I had a preliminary discussion with Johnny about FB3 participating. I have not talked with any of the churches yet, but I will. So anybody who wants to donate money, make out a check to the city of Flagler Beach, because we're not going to be using your tax money for this, but I don't know if we could pass these pictures around to the public. It's what you see on TV, but this is real people. You know, they are the friends of people that you can go down the street and talk to. So that's where we are on that. I think I covered it all on that.
Memorial Day?
And I said Memorial.
Oh, okay. What time?
Oh, 1 o'clock?
Okay. I'm just letting everyone else know. Because people keep asking me. They keep calling me what time.
Will we have the plaques on the benches?
Already on.
Okay, I missed
Where
it.
have you been?
Already on.
I've been in the dog house.
They look good too.
I'm walking over there now.
See if I can pull this woman's picture up. You don't get the full.
Okay, you finished?
Yeah, I'm finished.
Okay. I attended the fine outreach meeting like Commissioner Mealy and the city manager and others. And FINE is the Florida Inland Navigational District. One of the things I know several of the board members, and they also talked about the fact that they are available to help clean up some of our waterways if we ever have that request. They also said, do you have any land that's close to the waterways, because we can put up 50% on that if you want to buy it, but we don't have any. So anyway, it was a very good meeting. It was very good outreach, and it was good to get to know some of the folks that we've seen before on the reports. Some of them I've seen when I was in St. Johns County. So it was a great little get together there. Also attended a meeting out at the county, and it was for the school board. And it was actually having to do with the statutory framework for concurrency and the new laws that's affecting that. And For the first time, they said it was good to see Flagler Beach at the table because we were there discussing concurrency, school concurrency, and even though we have a small representation of students here in Flagler Beach attending the schools, it's good to be at the table because with the new requirements that there's no requirement for school concurrency, but there is a mandatory, what the school board has is that they have to have capacity. So that's what they have as far as the leverage when it comes to development. So one of the attorneys was there that represents a large segment of the development community. So it was a very good discussion. It lasted about 2.5 to 3 hours. Karen was there, and she provided some great input and feedback to a lot of the discussion that was there. So it was very good to be there. But they did say it was good to see Flagler Beach at the table as well as some of the other municipalities to talk about school concurrency. I also attended the Volusia County Memorial. And that was the law enforcement memorial ceremony in Volusia County. Must have been thousands of police officers and law enforcement and from all over the place there, representing Bunnell and Flagler County and Volusia County. It was a great event, and was very, very happy to be there to see the memorial ceremony itself. It was very good. One of the things that we talked about at the Flagler Creates was the possibility of having a experimental chalk art on the next first Friday. I'll talk to a great leader about that. I was just going to rope off a small area for the kids to just kind of do some design work with chalk. See how it grows, see how it does, and if it pans out to be very good, then maybe expanding it to have a competition on First Fridays, maybe on one of the sidewalks out here, something like that. So if we could possibly get some of the kids involved with doing a little chalk art.
What if we do this block right here? Because this always used to get blocked off. We could do this right in front of the art gallery.
Well, I'll work to Vern on that, see if that we can come up with something.
It'd be great.
Try it out.
Okay, good. Yeah, it'd be great to see art right in front of the art gallery. Traditionally, this has always been blocked off previously.
So that came up in Flagler Creates, and we said, you know, let's bring it up, see what happens. Trying to focus more on the family events that First Friday was all about in the first place, and kind of get the kids involved in doing that. Memorial plaques, a Memorial Day, sort of an unofficial unveiling of the plaques. My buddy down the street from me, Bob, he and I installed just about all of the plaques day before yesterday, and they look really good. They look very, very good. 3 more came in yesterday, so I have 4 more I'll put on tomorrow. There's still a bunch on order because the orders came in late, and it takes about 4 to 6 weeks for them to actually set them up, send me the proof, I send it back to them, and then they make the things and send them back to us. At this point, we have 8 plaque places left on the benches at this point. So, and it's kind of funny because we talked about this before. It's kind of interesting to hear the stories from some of the people that call in. And one lady called me the other day and she said, I want to know where my dad's plaque is because I want him to have a great view. He can't be looking at a trash can or something. I promise you, everyone's going to have a good view.
That's good.
It's a good view. So, but anyway, we'll have all of those that we have mounted on there, and a lot of folks plan on coming and viewing their loved one veterans' plaques. One of the things Susie had talked about, and I talked about as well, is getting some recordings of some of the people that are there. I think it'd be kind of cool to hear some of the stories that they have, and maybe we could just leave those in the museum next door for future references or something like that. And the other thing I have is that's it.
I forgot something.
It would be really cool to do a scrapbook for the museum of
cool.
the people
We
that
could
are
do
on
that.
the benches.
That's awesome. We can do that. Well, we can all just take pictures and then we can just kind of,
You put them together.
yeah, put them together, as well as recordings. Yes.
I'm going to pat, this is the closer picture.
Oh, okay.
And I did have something, Drew, the revisions to the tree laws, should we be taking a look at our ordinance?
Our ordinance is probably okay. They made it better, not worse.
I know they made it better, well, moderately better. So you don't think we need to change
I think we're
anything?
still, I don't think it changed anything with what we have in ours now.
Okay.
And Mr. Chairman, briefly, everyone knows Kathleen Doyle, long-serving finance director. We're having a little goodbye for her tomorrow at 10 o'clock here.
Oh, is that right?
10 o'clock, 12.
12, sorry. Maybe we need to be set up by 10, but anyway, yeah, it'll be tomorrow. And as we sent in a little note, so.
That's great. She did a great job, and I talked to her before she left, and she's like, "Oh God, I hate to go." I says, "You earned it. You earned it."
Not what I was.
Okay, at this time we have our second round of comments from the general public. So if you have any comments you'd like to make on items that are not on the agenda or any items that we've talked about tonight, please come forward. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Angela Smith. I have two items that I'd like to discuss. One is transportation, the traffic. The other is sustainability. But before I say that, I want to say thank you so much, commissioners, for the dog surf event Saturday. Oh my gosh. That is what Flagler Beach is all about to me. I mean, just the family fun activity. Excellent. Traffic. Last time I brought up the traffic and I mentioned the hotel, and I wish to clarify that the traffic issue that I'm addressing has been here for decades, and I've only been here for a year. So the hotel, when I brought up the hotel, I just meant that this is just a new problem on top of an existing problem. We already have a traffic overflow and parking crisis, and it's not 24/7, of course. It is when I assume 4th of July. I can't wait. This will be my first. So it will be on those times when we already have a crisis with parking. So my question is, I do not understand as a one-year resident why the commission would have considered the hotel when they did not seemingly understand the parking side issue when we already have a parking issue for decades. So it's not like the hotel is anything new, or that's the problem. The real problem is traffic and parking, because nobody's going to want to come here to enjoy what we have to offer if they can't feel safe. Number one. Number two is sustainability. Career and technical education teacher here for 20 years. I brought up the idea before about workforce development. I have a camp idea. I could go on, and I won't waste your time tonight because it's almost 8 o'clock. But seriously, sustainability is all about workforce development. And I've got a plan, and I'd love to sit down and talk to someone about it. Thank you for your time.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, seeing none, I bring it back to the board and we'll address a couple of questions you had. On the parking issue itself, whether the hotel comes or not, traffic is coming. What's happening is you got Palm Coast and you got Flagler County that are growing like crazy. Some of the developments are actually promoting Flagler Beach as an amenity. And you're right. When it comes to sustainability, those are some of the things we're addressing now with the county on how we can continue to be sustainable as we're entertaining to a great extent the folks that are coming from neighboring municipalities and county. Parking is always going to be an issue, and it's something we have on our strategic plan that we've been talking about and something that we'll be working on. But the hotel is not the thing that's going to cause all of the problems with the parking, because they actually have a lot of the parking themselves. When I spoke to, and I think I mentioned it the last time, when I spoke to the owner builder of the new hotel, he said there's not a chance that all 100 rooms that he has would be occupied all the time. He said that would be a great problem if he did. That's okay. Well, no comments, please. So anyway, those are the comments that I have on it. And Mr. Whitson might want to add to it in regard to parking and sustainability, but those are things that we're all working on as far as the city is concerned.
Yeah, there's a couple of factors when it comes to parking. One is the turnover. Part of the problem is we have a situation here where you have some individuals coming and parking and leaving their vehicles all day, tying up the parking. If we had more turnover in the parking inventory we currently have, it would free up more parking. So that's one issue that we'll be looking at. The other issue is adding inventory, and there are easy ways to do that. For example, with cross parking easements, we're already starting conversations with the Catholic Church, with the First Baptist Church, with other people who, they need parking when other people doesn't. Yet when they're out of church, maybe the businesses could, benefit, and the tourists coming to the beach could benefit by being able to park in their lots. So we're looking at those kind of things, which are low-hanging fruit, and adding to the inventory, as well as other strategies we'll have for turning over the existing parking that we do have. So between those strategies and several others that I won't go on and on about, we're going to be addressing the parking issues. I wouldn't call it a crisis. I would call it a concern at this point.
Well, the other thing in regard to the hotel, and we get this a lot, people say, how did you approve the hotel? Why did you approve the hotel? But there is something called property rights. People have a right to use their property for the reasons that it's actually zoned for. And it's not much different than you buying a lot to put your house on and someone telling you can't build a house on it. So there are things that we have to comply with because, okay, that's why we have the decisions that we have to make, because people do have a right to use their property, and it was a hotel there before. So, we do look at these things and we know. Okay? All right, any other comments, commissioners? If not, have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
Thank you.
Chris?
We are adjourned. I'll take one.
You're not Chris.